13.1, we're going to talk about what is corrosion and what is the conditions for the corrosions to occur. So for corrosions, you should know that, that will be a process that the metal react with the water, air, and other substances in the environment. And this process, a corrosion process, is a gradual deterioration. It's a very, very slow process. So you see that these kind of rusting, they take long time to develop. So it is a gradual deteriorations and have a very long period for it to do. So after you have corrosions, you'll find that it is not shiny anymore, and some of them may not even function very well. So therefore, we need replacement for these kind of metals. So it will just bring along a large economic burden. So you have to know that the corrosion actually is a reaction between the air, water, and also the metal, and it will take a long time for the reactions to occur. So this one we call that corrosion. So during corrosion, what happened to the chemicals? For the metal, they will lose electrons and then become cation. For example, very famous one will be Fe. So in the process, they may lose electrons and then become iron to iron. So the corrosion of iron, we have a special name for that. We call that rusting. Remember, this rusting, this term is exclusively only for Fe. You can't say that, rusting of copper. Is it okay? Of course not, because rusting is only for Fe, for iron. So if you want to say the corrosion of copper, you have to use corrosion of copper, but not rusting of copper. So more reactive metal will corrode faster because the reaction will be faster. The process of losing electron will be faster. So more reactive one. So the more reactive metal, they will corrode faster. But you have to find that some of the metal, they will not corrode or corrode very, very slow that you can't see the process. For example, you have like gold, platinum. So those who are very low in the metal reactivity series, they seldom corrode. So you find that they keep shiny all the time and have a very great appearance. So what is the requirement for the corrosion to occur? We can use an experiment to show. So in this experiment, we're going to investigate the condition for rusting. So what do we need for rusting to occur? Before we move on, you should know that different part of the experiments, different chemicals, what is the function of that? First of all, you can see anhydrous calcium chloride. Remember, anhydrous means without water. So what's the function for this chemical? It is used to absorb moisture in the air. So you'll find that if we put anhydrous calcium chloride in a test tube like this, then the calcium chloride will then absorb the water into it. So you find that in this in the test tube 1, the iron layer will exist in the air. So they will have oxygen in it. But for the water, you find that it is absorbed by the anhydrous calcium chloride. So therefore no water in it. For test tube 2, you will find two things. One is oil layer, one is boiled distilled water. So for oil layer, actually it is to prevent oxygen from dissolving into the solution. So the function of it is to prevent oxygen in the air to get into the water. You should know that in the water, all the time we should have oxygen, dissolved oxygen in it. But the function of dissolved, why we have to boil the distilled water? Because during the process of boiling, the dissolved oxygen will be boiled off. They will be forced out of the water. So boiled distilled water contains no dissolved oxygen. So you can find that in the second setup. Actually, the oil layer prevents oxygen from getting into the water. Boiled distilled water will have to force away the dissolved oxygen that previously exists. So you can find that in test tube 2. It will be exist the iron nail will be present in the water. However, all the oxygen have been forced out from the distilled water. So therefore, test tube 2, it will be in a condition only having water but no oxygen. Okay, for the last one, okay, you find that, okay, iron nail, they are placed in distilled water. Distilled water is just normal water but no other impurities only, okay. Slightly different from tape water, okay, different from tape water. Because tape water, you may contain some minerals, okay, you have minerals in it. But you know that, okay, distilled water is a pure water. There is no minerals in it, okay. So we don't have an oil layer here, so therefore the oxygen can also dissolve into the distilled water. So in test tube 3, we have oxygen in it, and we also have water in it, okay. So by doing these 3 experiments, which iron nail going to rust first, okay, while the others, okay, they may not, okay, or they will not rust. Okay? So you can have a look of the tables there, okay. So tube 1, okay, you find that anhydrous calcium chloride to remove moisture from the air, so therefore has air but no water. The result is there is no rusting occur. Just air, no water, no rusting. For the second setup, we find that the oil layer prevent air from dissolving, and also the boiling water remove dissolved air. So therefore, test tube 2, we have no air but have water in it. Still, there is no rusting. But for the third one, okay, with both water and air are present, and at that time, okay, rusting occur. So you'll find that the necessary condition for rusting to occur, okay, we need to have 2 things. One, we need to have water. Second one, okay, more precise, we need to have oxygen. So in the presence of water and oxygen, rusting will then occur. Sometimes, okay, for this setup, okay, you may see a modified versions in it, okay. So we will have a test tube. Again, we got the nail in it, okay. You see that this setup, we don't have oil layer. However, the water that we use, okay, we may be using seawater. So the difference between the seawater and distilled water is seawater, not only they have water, but also they contain some soluble ionic compound, for example, salt, NaCl. So you find that if I put an iron nail into the seawater, the rusting process, okay, will be even faster than normal distilled water, okay. Later on, you'll learn that there are some factors that will speed up the rusting. So in conclusion, corrosion is a very slow process. It's a gradual deterioration. Okay, wrong spelling. Gradual deteriorations of metals. And also the necessary condition for the rusting to occur, we need to have in the presence of water and oxygen. Remember, when you talk about the condition for rusting, please include these 4 words, in the presence of, okay? So in the presence of water and oxygen. Try to say oxygen. I don't prefer you to write air, okay, because oxygen is more precise. The metal is reacting with the oxygen. So during this process, metal will lose electron and form metal oxide. Do remember, more reactive metal will rust or corrode faster. Okay, rust is not a good word. Remember, rusting is only for iron, okay? It's exclusively for iron only, okay? So the detail for the experiments, okay, to show the condition required for rusting, you have to remember, wait, there are certain new chemicals that we have introduced. For example, anhydrous calcium chloride will have like oil layer, and we have like boiled water. So all these things, you have to know the function, why we have to include these chemicals, or we have to do this treatment before the experiment starts. So that's all for this video. Bye bye.